Spider-Man is one of the most iconic characters of all time, one of the most famous characters of all time. This comic book superhero has made a mark in this entire world with legions and legions of fans. But Spider-Man is not Spider-Man without his villains, the contrasting characters. There have been amazing villains in the catalog of Spider-Man. There have been compelling characters that have shaped, I beg your pardon, the stories of Spider-Man and have made for an absolutely interesting viewing. The psychotic criminals, the criminal masterminds who themselves sometimes have superpowers have always made for a great story. One of the best, scratch that, I believe the best villain that Spider-Man has ever produced, so much so that these days he's become an anti-hero, he's that popular, is Venom. In the early 80s, Marvel had signed an action figure deal with Mattel, and there at that particular time the editor-in-chief wanted to do a crossover event with Spider-Man's villains and Spider-Man into a new world. This crossover event led to a book called Secret Wars, a comic book called Secret Wars. So they had an otherworldly battle with an evil entity named Beyonder, and on this unknown planet, Spider-Man would discover something that would mark the iconic character, the alien goo. The alien goo is turned into a black Spider-Man suit, which Jim Shooter had an idea with. So with this crossover, he thought that this alien goo, this would not be such a big leap. They wanted to give Spider-Man the black suit, but eventually found out that they wanted to return to the original color of the suit. So they had a way out. They would make this black goo, this absolute black goo, a symbiote, which is an alien, and it has its own thought process as it merges with the host. Eventually they let go of this particular alien goo, this particular suit, and they shut the idea down, but they wanted to continue it in a certain way, and they found a new host, Eddie Brock. Eddie Brock was a disgraced journalist when he was lying to get a confession from a person who didn't commit that exact crime. When Spider-Man found the perpetrator, the actual suspect, the actual villain, Sin Eater. So Eddie Brock was disgraced, and he went to the church to find for forgiveness because, well, he was a Catholic. He did not want to unalive himself, and he went there and he looked up, and suddenly he was joined by the goo, the symbiote Venom, and there he became the villain we know today. Now here are the reasons why Venom is the best Spider-Man villain in my opinion of all time. One point being, he knows Peter's inner security, Peter's insecurity, I beg your pardon, and Peter's inner thoughts. Since the symbiote had bonded with Peter Parker first and became that Spider-Man, the symbiote knows exactly what Peter's weaknesses are, what Peter's thought process is. So when he is in the host, and when he has the host of Eddie Brock, he can lure or make Eddie Brock understand how to deal with Peter Parker and not Spider-Man, since the other villains take time to realize who Spider-Man really is. Peter Parker, the symbiote, knows exactly who he is from inside and out. Another point why he makes for a great villain for Spider-Man is that he is extremely petty. He wants to discredit Spider-Man anyhow because he was rejected by Spider-Man. Therefore, he wanted to get back at him. Since they look so similar in many comic book iterations, he tried to discredit Spider-Man by doing the wrong things, and they would pinpoint at Spider-Man. Eventually, he let go of the charade, but the damage was done a lot, the irritation was done a lot. Another point is just how he looks. Venom is very, very gruesomely, badass. He is absolutely menacing. The big broad shoulders, the muscles, the tongue gushing out, the sharp teeth, the big eyes, the black color. It looks very cool, amazingly cool. And another point being, Eddie Brock himself had an issue with Spider-Man. Since Spider-Man discredited Eddie Brock had an absolutely horrible view of Spider-Man and wanted to take down Spider-Man any chance he got. Another reason why he makes for such a captivating character is the absolute unpredictable nature of the symbiote. This particular character, you can never know what he will do next. Sometimes he even does very good by the books. With the Green Goblin, with Dr. Octavius, he could, we could understand where they are coming from. We could trace their steps. We could know what their next step would be. But with the symbiote, well, all bets are off. He can do this, he can do that, but what I can guarantee you, he will leave you entertained. Another point is he can do many characters, he can do many things. He has become a sort of anti-hero in these days, and for a long period of time he was an anti-hero in the comic books. It is because he is such a popular character. So many people gravitated towards this character that they loved the character, and the creators had no choice but to make him an anti-hero. With this, you can tell multiple stories with Venom, long stories with Venom, and cool stories with Venom. These were the reasons why Venom is one of the best, if not the best, villain/anti-heroes of the Spider-Man universe. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.